But when people are asking, oh, how did we end up with Trump? How did you allow this to happen? Well, you guys may remember Stacey Gilbert, who worked in the State Department. Well, she was interviewed just the other day regarding what she released back in February of 2024. Here's what she had to say.
You write in your resignation email?
I said that report will haunt us. And it does. And it haunts me.
Colonel, Sergeant, who authorizes this type of lying, I guess you would say?
Anthony Blinken, Jake Sullivan, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, and Pete Hegseth, and a host of people behind them that don't want you to mention their names too often, like Steve Miller.
Oh,
The Nazi. Oh,
he is, that man is like
Steve Miller and Smotrich or Ben Gavir could in the same room and have a joyous time together.
Oh, those the peas in a pod. Those three, I could see for sure.
Yeah, you could throw Jonathan Greenblatt in there too while you're at it.
Yeah. Josh Paul was the same way. He wasn't quite as tearful about it, but Josh Paul couldn't believe what was happening in his post in political military affairs at state. And I was there when Link Bloomfield was assistant secretary, and I remember vividly Richard Haas, who was then director of policy planning, asking me to go sit in Link's meetings in the morning and then come back and back brief Richard. I'd only been doing it for about 3 weeks, and one morning I was just sitting there taking notes, and all of a sudden someone brought a message in. The Israelis had just, with an Apache helicopter, U.S. equipment provided by the United States under the rules we have for providing equipment, one of which says, as Josh reiterated several times, that they can't use them to kill civilians and to do other things that are war crimes. And Apache had just fired into the 4th or 5th floor of a hotel building and killed a Hamas operative, but it also killed children and women, his family and others in that building. And I'm sitting there waiting to hear what Link is going to say is going to be done about it. And of course, we have a discussion, and essentially a demarche to their embassy was about all we could conjure up as a recommendation. I don't even think that went out. They were supposed to be severely rebuked. The contracts shut down. The equipment shut down. The support for the equipment shut down. That's what our law says. But it didn't happen.
Yep.
The determination that Israel is not blocking humanitarian assistance is patently, demonstrably false.
In April, Stacey Gilbert was asked for her input on a Biden administration report on whether Israel was committing war crimes in Gaza.
I was shocked to see that it said in very clear terms, it is our determination that Israel is not blocking humanitarian assistance.
You had advised that that wasn't the case. Is that correct?
Yes. The subject matter experts were removed, and the report was moved up to a higher level. We were told you will see the report when it is released publicly.
And then the report comes out and just doesn't include what you had to say?
I wasn't sure I read that correctly. I read it again, and I sent an email then that I would resign as a result of that.
Good for you.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Like, I mean, I remember it at the time, but now we're here 2 years later. And there are people that are still debating whether or not Ziohel is causing starvation. There's people still debating this. So, and I don't understand how people are still debating this.
They're buried in the propaganda.
The only thing I will say it's not a debate. It's just a lot of lying going on. You know, she had the guts to resign, likewise with Josh Paul. But if you look at going all the way back to the Biden administration, when we had our UN ambassador lying, her deputy lying, the State Department lying, Rubio lying.
Oh.
I mean, it's not debates. They're just people lying.
Well,
how was before you go here, like, how was this? So when you guys were serving, are we to believe that then they were honest? Because I got to tell you, I've been watching my whole life, and I, for the most part, have concluded that if their lips are moving, they're lying.
Who are you referring to?
Anybody. Pick your president. Pick your anybody who's been in any sort of leadership position in this country or in the legislature, right? Like any of these people, all they do is lie.
Well, this old saying, all politicians lie. You know, and so, yeah, so we may be on to that. You know, my biggest, I'm disheartened by the way of, I spent a large majority of my life, military life, in the Pentagon, all the way from 1979, my first assignment to the Pentagon, even as a contract retiree, my last job at the Pentagon, 2022. And I will tell you, starting with the George W. Bush administration in the Pentagon, that was the first time I had ever seen a political operation. Usually the Pentagon was immune from that. You know, it may have been some politics going on, and it's gotten worse, where now you have, you know, people in the Pentagon just lying through their teeth, literally lying. I saw it firsthand when you mentioned about me being in Secretary of Defense for policy, nothing but lies. And that's what drove me to write my book, Deadly Betrayal, because it was a deadly betrayal to the troops for them to lie and get them killed like that, and over 100,000 wounded for life, and the hundreds of thousands of Iraqis that we killed and destroyed their infrastructure based on a deadly betrayal lie.
And don't forget that who invested that office for almost the entire time the war was going on? Mossad.
Listen, and Larry, you know, I've had this conversation. When I used to go into the front office of OSD policy, you had to sign in. They were in a skiff. Guess who were able to walk in without signing? Almost pushed themselves through the door. The IDF. And I'm understanding this happening right now in the Pentagon just before the big attack that we joined in on in Iran, that they were all over the Pentagon at that time. Now, I don't know. I wasn't there, but that's what I'm being told. But I was there during George W. Bush when I saw it with my own eyes.
Well, we have war criminals coming here to visit. So I don't know. I mean, apparently we don't care if people have arrest warrants out for them by the International Criminal Court. We'll pull out chairs for them here.
Well, wait a minute. Are you suggesting that I didn't really know what was going on when I was president? I was allowed to be president of the United States when the Supreme Court gave it to me? You mean I didn't really know what I was doing? Apparently not.
No one thought that.
I bring this up because right now we are in a government shutdown. A government shutdown that should not be happening, by the way, but it is. And while 750,000 federal employees are not only on unpaid leave, but the longer this goes on, the likelihood that they get furloughed is even higher. Guess what's not happening right now? Funding to Israel won't be impacted by the shutdown. That is continuing in earnest as we go forward. Now, you both have seen a lot in your life. I am getting the feeling that what has happened over the past X amount of years, from the ignoring of what happened or the cover-up of what happened with the attack on the USS Liberty, what has happened up until the point that we are living in today, I would like to get both of your thoughts regarding, are we truly seeing the disintegration of this unholy alliance with the genocidal state of Israel? Will this eventually end, this unholy relationship that has been built on the backs of Palestinian blood for 3 generations? Are we in a position now where there might be enough momentum to finally break this relationship? Do you think it's possible?
Well, let me go first, and then I'll let Larry give the scholarly assessment of what he thinks. I'm just going to give you plain language. You know, I've been saying, you know, often here, and I'm even feeling more optimistic about it now. This is the most optimistic I've ever been. You know, a decade and a half ago, the only person I could talk to about this was Larry Wilkerson. You know, so many people that just didn't know what was going on. Now, with social media, listen, let me just mention something else too, and it's coming to fruition now. I want everybody who's listened to me before, go back and check all the records. I think I've even said it on this show. When our government was trying to get rid of TikTok, I said then it was nothing about China. Nothing whatsoever. It was about Israel. I'm on record for saying it over a year. Now, Bibi Netanyahu has told us himself. Okay? He's told us himself. Now, let me get back on track because it just made me think about that. This is the most optimistic I've ever been because of TikTok and social media. More people are finding out about it now. You know, you can't hide it. And I'm so thankful for you all because you all becoming popular now because of the fact the mainstream media has been bought and paid for. And so now Congress, and I'm going to give you the biggest example. And Larry and I were in New York. I guess it's been about 3 weeks now. Let me tell you something. The potential mayor of New York is going to be the big icebreaker right there. When he had the guts to say, huh? I'm not going to Israel. Here you talk about a mayor. What's going to be your first foreign policy trip? I'm not going to Israel. I'm going to stay here and take care of people. Just think about this. I don't even think he was polling at the time. He was way behind. He shot up. Now they're so scared of him, both parties. Now listen, we all, grew up, the two main parties, Republican, a Democrat. Right now, in regards to Israel, I can't stand neither party. I can't stand Akeem Jeffries. I can't stand Cory Booker using black folks and then taking the money from AIPAC. You hear what I just said? Now, let me go back to what you said. This is the most optimistic I've ever been. I'm praying for the mayor of New York to win because they're trying to do everything they can to take him down. And so I think it's going to happen. It may not happen this year, next, but as we see more people running for office who are going to say, I'm not taking no money from AIPAC. I did not support the genocide in Gaza. You're going to see the tides changing here in the next year or two. And that's why they're trying to get Zionists to buy TikTok.
Oh, they did. And by the way, just in case anybody's wondering, and Colonel, I know again, the wheelings and dealings as well that go on within the corridors of the Pentagon. The value of TikTok is listed at $40 billion. But the second richest man in the world who definitely needed a discount was able to secure the rights to TikTok for $14 billion. Hey, the rich get richer, but when you control everything, it's just numbers on a spreadsheet, as Bernanke once said. So does it really matter? But I do think that there is cause for optimism because it does seem that the consensus now is that Israel has a lot to do with why this country is sinking so deep and so fast.
Hey, Peter, let me make one more comment before Larry jump in. And also, the reason I see the tide changing now, I never thought I would be in the same car with Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I never thought I'd be in the same car with them. When it comes to this, I'm on their train. I'm with them on that. And I don't mind because this is a matter of life and death of our country. And so I'm on the train. And so why do I feel so optimistic? Because you got people like them and myself coming together. I'm watching podcasts where they are ending up on what I would call maybe left podcasts, and they're ending up on right podcasts. And so this may be the thing that brings us all together because Congress is designed to keep us apart anyway.
The man who did the most to give Trump the election this second time around built a incredible organization called Talking Points, was recently assassinated and
Turning Point USA.
Yeah, Turning Point, yeah. And did irreparable damage to Israel's contact and favoritism in America. Irreparable damage to it. And the others who are now more or less talking about that are continuing that damage. Tucker Carlson, Candace Young, and so forth. But I think he was coming around to a belief that was frequently exposed to him in these colossal meetings he would have from people under 40. Youngsters under 40. And they were MAGA people. They were devotees of Charlie Kirk. They were MAGA people. And they were asking good questions, as Marjorie Taylor Greene, as Dennis said, and others. I think that's fracturing the relationship. And you see the fright on Netanyahu's face now, every now and then, when he realizes what's happening to him. and the money he's spending and the money he's garnering around himself from all of his still allies in order to try and fight this. Larry Ellison's just the latest peak of the iceberg, if you will. But they're scared. And well, they should be, because I think the country's getting ready to shed its predilection for Israel.